Now we're gonna move on to our comic review, which it's a book that came out last week. Bronze Faces. This is the Dan Mora cover, which is why I picked it up. I love that.
Insane. Yeah.
This is here. Let me give you a quick. Let me read the credits. This is written by Shobo and Shof. These are two creators that have done other stuff with Boom that I think I've checked out their work. It's pretty interesting. Illustrated by Alexandre Tefenkgi. Colors by Lee Loughridge. Letters by Hassan Otsmane-Elhaou. Apologies if I mispronounced anybody's name. This book follows in Soho, London, childhood friends Timmy, Sango, and Gabonka reunite on the eve of the British Museum's historic purchase of the works of Timmy's father, the seminal Nigerian artist Adewale Balogun. Timmy has been invited as a guest of honor for what the museum is heralding as a triumphant acquisition the trio see as nothing short of breaking cultural theft. Emboldened by a night of drinking and shared outrage, they concoct a bold scheme to steal back the artwork themselves. But when they come into possession of a document called the Register, outlining dozens of colonial-era stolen artifacts, their sights turn to even higher than the Benin bronzes, the British Museum cache of nearly 1,500 works of stolen art from the Kingdom of Benin. So, yeah, So, Josh, you suggested we check this out. Do you want to talk a little bit about why you wanted to check out this book?
Yeah, I mean, the idea of repatriating artworks back to their country of origin is a big, and rightfully so, big issue in the art world and the museum world. And the British Museum is by far the worst offender in this. They absolutely just refuse to do a lot. But one of the big bodies of objects are these Benin bronzes. And so when I read the description of this, I was like, oh man, sign me up. This looks great, right? Like, people who are the child of an African artist stealing from the British Museum to take it back. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to read it. I thought the story was great. The art is fantastic. I really loved it. I had a couple of quibbles with it. I'll be curious to hear what you guys thought. One quibble is, I think, the way the story is structured. Yeah. I kind of had to read it twice just to sort of place everyone and all the characters. That's a minor quibble because I feel like if you're reading this as a trade, it'll probably make a lot more sense because you can just go straight into issue 2 and start immediately thinking back to issue 1, whereas we have to wait a month to get the next one to kind of make those sort of connections. But yeah, I loved it. I felt like the motives of everyone was still a little off. Okay, all right. It's not just me then. So yeah, you guys.
I agree with John. It was a little confusing because there's some time jumps that happen. Yeah. So you get the introduction of the characters as adults, but then you kind of jump back to see how they all kind of intermingled with each other as kids. And that's a little bit confusing when that happens. Yeah. Going back and forth. And then I was telling Danny before the show, there's also one of the Horizon Experience books from Image was called Finders Keepers, which has a very similar premise to this.
Oh, I need to read that.
Which is somebody from Puerto Rico who worked in a museum who came across an artifact that belonged to her homeland, specifically where she was from in Puerto Rico. And she has the opportunity
to reverse Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of very similar. She's taking back from the museum to give back to repatriate. But in that one, it was a bit more I'm bringing the art back to the people where it belongs. This one was I need money. I'm gonna try to take my dad's. In a way, I'm just well, it is his it's his stuff. It's his dad's stuff. He should be able to do what he wants with it. But it does feel a little I'm well, that's not as noble a thing as but I feel that's why they kind of tack that like, oh, there's all this other stuff that we can also do. It kind of feels a little bit more like, oh, going forward we can, do that kind of stuff. But it does feel a little like, well, that kind of undercuts what you're trying to do. I feel a little
bit, but I agree with both of you. I like the I like the non-linear storytelling, but it is like you definitely have to follow it very well. Although I love the little I guess like there would be the title cards or whatever, like they're telling you where they are and when.
Yeah,
like, I love the aesthetic of that.
I did too. I thought it was great.
Anytime we go to a flashback, there's like this little like everything, all the panels are like in a little wooden box, like the little touches of yeah exactly. So like it's very clear when you're in the present, very clear when the characters are thinking back. I love a good story of like just buddies hanging out and doing dumb things. And now obviously this one's a little more heightened, more elevated, and there's more stakes in it. But my hope is that we explore their relationship when they were like why they would be so willing to do something so reckless.
Yeah.
Other than just other than like being impulsive. And the art's very cool. It just looks like every page I'm like, oh, this looks amazing. I think a lot of the time it's very difficult for people to get people of color right, like skin tones and stuff like that. So especially when like there's different light sources and stuff like that, but I think the team did a very good job. Yeah, that's the page I was on right now.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. So I did also like. I think it's hard in one issue like this, particularly with all the time jumps, to really show who characters are, and I kind of felt like they did a good job here. My one complaint is I don't know what, and I'm probably going to say her name wrong, Sanjo. I don't know. Is she an architect? Like, I know what everyone else is, right? You've got the musician, you've got the politician. Who is she? Because she is the only one that seems both financially stable, but also the most willing to just chuck it all aside to do this. Anyone know, like, what is her profession?
That's what I thought too, but I don't really know. I don't think it's very clear, or if it's clear, I missed it somewhere.
No, I did too then.
But I can definitely see that she's the more kind of stable. So it was like, okay, why are you willing to kind of risk your stability the most?
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really think too much back about it, but yeah, it's fun. I like, obviously, because they're bringing in a lot of the African art influence, like all that stuff just looks really like the designs of the masks, especially the last page when they. Like,
I know. I didn't want to show it, but the last page is just stunning.
It reminded me of in what was it, in Black Panther when Killmonger takes the mask from the museum.
Yep.
He's like, and then I think Claw asked him, like, "Is that vibranium too?" Like, no, it just looks like this. Just looks cool. Like,
yeah. Here, just as a teaser, this is the teaser for issue 2.
Oh my god, yeah.
So good.
A lot of really cool designs.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I think this will read better altogether, or like in trade, like the art, you can get the complete art. But I'm glad. I mean, I wanted to pick this up too. This one, I think this one was delayed as well, because otherwise I would have picked it last week.
It was, yeah.
So I'm glad, Josh, you wanted to talk about it. So all right, any last thoughts on Bronze Faces? No, cool.
Yeah,
well,
I liked it.
Thanks to Boom. I mean, Boom sent us a copy, but then we picked it up anyway. So
yeah,
that's usually what happens. Like all the books that we talk about here that we get previews for, we end up buying them anyway. So I guess not really double dipping, unless you make me buy 2 DC versus Vampires books because the covers connect. The book has so many cool covers. Like it was hard to decide. Like,
it was hard to decide. Yeah.
There's a Tula Lotte cover that I wish I had seen too, but
my shop I think only got 2 covers, and it was the normal cover A and then this one.
Yeah, I'll never not get a Dan Mora cover. So
yeah, it was beautiful. I really like it.
Cool. Well,